via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Welcome to Millennium News 24/7 Daily Local News Update. I'm your host, Jasmine McTague, live from Jersey City, New Jersey, watching the news headlines. Now, details at this time. A private developer have taken control of a few NACHA developments in East New York. Below is the press release from one of the groups of developers explaining the joint venture. The impact on the community, positive or negative, remains to be seen, but the deed is done. See the renderings below. Show the expectations of what the development will bring in terms of community improvement. Boulevard Together Developer LLC, Boulevard Together, a joint venture of the Hudson Companies, Property Resources Corporation, DuVernay and Brooks, in partnership with the New York City Housing Authority, today announced the closing of $600 million in financing for comprehensive renovations to a 1,673 unit public housing portfolio comprising three separate NYCHA developments, including Boulevard Houses, Fermentio Plaza, and Belmar Sutter area of East New York and Brooklyn. The partnership is an undertaking. The project through NYCHA's Permanent Affordability Commitment Together initiative, which utilizes the Federal Rental Assistance Demonstration Program to unlock fundings for repairs while ensuring developments in the program remain permanently affordable and that residents retain the same rights that they possess in the standard public housing program. Through PAC, the Boulevard Together team will oversee critical infrastructures and capital repairs needed in 29 NACHA buildings following decades of disinvestments at the properties. Boulevard Houses will finance the project through a construction loan provided by the New York City Housing Development Corporation and JP Morgan Chase. In addition to traditional fundings, Boulevard Houses and Fermentio Plaza are required to generate historic tax credit, and Chase Community Development Banking will invest up to $140 million of federal and state historic tax credit equity into the project. Today's announcement is an important step towards bringing comprehensive repairs and social services to more than 1,600 NYCHA households, said HDC President Eric Enderlin. HDC is proud to provide critical financing to ensure our public housing residents benefit from lasting affordability and tenant protections through PACT. Congratulations to all our partners on reaching this pivotal stage in preservation of the Boulevard housing portfolio. On to our next story. Two more violent robberies were reported in Chicago's Lakeview neighborhood Wednesday evening as police warned about more than 20 similar attacks in the area over the past 2 months. The CPD officers swarmed the 3200 block of North Sheffield Wednesday night as they rushed to the aid of a young woman police said had been beaten and robbed by a group of people. As I was pulling up to work, I saw three young ladies talking to many police, said William Gold, who works nearby. Police said just after 7 p.m., a group of eight surrounded a woman on a sidewalk of North Sheffield, just a few yards north of Belmont Ave. Investigators say two of them teamed up, pushing her to the ground and punching her and kicking the woman in the face as they stole her personal property and quickly ran off. It was very quick, Gold said. The police then drove off, and I think they were probably looking for suspects. About a half hour later, around the corner at Belmont Red Line stop, police rushed to a report of another group robbery. Police say a 31-year-old woman was riding the CTA Red Line when five people tried to steal from her. A struggle ensued, and when another woman tried to intervene, the suspect tried to rob her as well before giving up and fleeing the scene. No injuries were reported, and no one is in custody, police said. Now, on to our next story. A 27-year-old Florida man accused in a hit-and-run crash that killed two children, injured four others, caused a disturbance during his first court appearance hours after sheriff deputies arrested him. 14-year-old charged in triple murder is at large dangerous, police say. Detectives say physical evidence led them to Sheen Charles Gurr. He was arrested Tuesday night, a day after the crash in Walton Manors. During a court appearance Wednesday, deputies led Geary, away from his apparently objected to attending the proceeding. 18-year-old shot to death outside Saratoga Library. Deputies investigating officials say Geary veered around a transit bus, crashed into the children. He was ordered held without bail on two probation violations. On to our next story. A 40-year-old woman died after she and a 33-year-old man were shot outside of a home overnight in Northeast Houston. It happened in the 3500 block of Gillespie near Bringhurst Street. Police say the woman and the man, identified as Terrence Brooke, were outside with a group of people playing dominoes when they were approached by two other men who started shooting, hitting them. The victims were taken to the hospital, but the woman did not survive. Her identity is pending verification by the Harris County Institute of Forensic Sciences. Brooks is stable condition. There is no motive at this time, and it's unknown if there is a connection between the victims and the shooters, investigators say. Witnesses claim they saw two men run away. That's also up significantly from the 2020, when the numbers was just under 400. In 2019, 274 homicides were reported. We just want everybody to come together. People think that the police department controls the murder rates. It's everybody that controls the murder rate. People making better decisions and people controlling their tempers and just watching where you're hanging out, who you're hanging out with, said Houston Police Chief Troy Finner. Finner says he plans to make announcements around the first of the year on strategies to decrease the murder rates. And now, a short break from the daily English news of Millennium News 24/7. Stay tuned.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530 Entertainment LLC at gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Welcome to Millennium News 24/7 daily local news updates. Now, the story at this hour. The Philadelphia Running Committee gathered Wednesday night to show support and raise awareness after a well known local runner said he was assaulted and stabbed along the MLK Drive on Christmas Day. Bernard Brookstein, founder and president of the Fairmont Running Club, said the assault happened in broad daylight on MLK Drive at Black Road, which isn't far from Montgomery Drive. The guy hit me. I tried to hit him back, and for some odd reason, he paused. He was able to get up. I struck him once, I believe. I'm not even sure. But I got up. I'm screaming, and I see three others running, coming eastbound towards the art museum. I screamed, and I get them. Brookstein told Action News. Brookstein said he was running the loop towards Kelly Drive around 8 a.m. Christmas Day when the attack happened. He said he didn't know how bad it was until one of the other runners took notice. One of the guys heard a metal rod or something on the ground that dropped, and he goes and picks up, and he goes, "You were stabbed in the back. Your whole back is bloody. Your shirt are all bloody. That's how I found out. He didn't even know I was stabbed either," Brookstein said. Brookstein also said the man who assaulted him didn't leave the area and was arrested shortly after it happened. Members of the Philadelphia Running community came together Wednesday night to show their support for Brookstein and share safety measures. They said a big part of safety is to run in groups and to look for improvements that can be made along your route, such as more lighting. On to our next story of the hour. San Antonio police are searching for a suspect following a fatal shooting in downtown early Thursday morning. Officers were called around 12:40 a.m. to 500 block of East Market Street, not far from South Alamo Street, after receiving words of shots fired. According to police, a 47-year-old man was shot in the upper body and was killed. The victim, who was not been identified, was pronounced dead at the scene by EMS. Police say the suspect fled towards the river walk after the shooting. That person has not yet been found. A motive for the shooting is not currently known. The SAPD collected evidence and combed the area, establishing a quadrant on both the river and street level during the search. The Eagle helicopter and canine units were also requested to aid in finding the suspect. The San Antonio Police Department and the San Antonio Fire Department and EMS all answered the call. The investigation is ongoing, police said. Now, on to the next story of the hour. Central Florida's hospital began to feel the effects of the new record setting COVID 19 Omicron surge Wednesday, even as officials remain hopeful that high vaccination rates will keep numbers below levels seen during the Delta surge. Advent Health report 50 new patients across their system overnight, though doctors noted that they began with just 100, far below the 2,400 they were treated on one day in September. The healthcare system is prepared for the increase, a spokesman for the company noted. Across town at Orlando Health, 209 patients were being treated, less than a third of more than 600 that system saw at its peak. However, signs of the surge were apparent at both sides. Supplies of monoclonal antibodies therapies were limited at Advent Health, since the two most frequently used products have been determined to be less effective against Omicron. Patients painted a bleaker picture, saying they were told the system was out and they weren't sure when they were going to get their injections. At Orlando Health, a patient sent photos to Eyewitness News showing what he said were COVID patients in makeshift spaces and waiting rooms. He said hospital staff told him they were doing the best they could, but were struggling. We maintain a comprehensive surge plan that identifies additional resources, including beds that would be available if needed. A company spokesman wrote in a response to the inquiry, across our healthcare system, we continuously evaluate and adjust our operations to determine the best use of our resources to accommodate the needs of our patients. On to the next story of the hour. Officials announced the closure of the 5 freeway through Grapevine area due to a dangerous snow and ice conditions Thursday morning. The shutdown comes amid a powerful winter storm that's dropping several feet of snow at higher elevations. Forecasters are calling for anywhere from 6 inches to 3 feet of snow above the 5,000-foot mark. Enough snow and ice finally built up through the Grapevine area early Thursday morning to bring traffic to a stop. The northbound 5 freeway is closed at Parker Road in Castaic, according to the tweet from the Caltrains. The southbound side of the freeway is closed at Grapevine Road. An alternate route through the Tehachapi on State Road 58 is still open and available to drivers, according to the California Highway Patrol. Images shared with the KTLA by Rangel Martinez show traffic at a standstill on the 5 freeway. Snow is still coming down pretty hard, and I don't know if they're going to open it anytime soon, Martinez said, about an hour into the delay. The storm is expected to continue to bring heavy rain and snow to the region through noon Thursday. Isolated light showers are likely to continue into Friday morning, according to the National Weather Service. Coastal and valley locations are expecting 2 to 4 inches of rain by the time the storm moves through. Mountains and foothill areas that don't get snow should see about 3 to 7 inches of rain, according to forecasters. And now, a short break from the Daily English News of the Millennium News 24/7. Stay tuned.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Welcome to Millennium News 24/7 daily local news update. Here's the story at this hour. President Joe Biden and Vladimir Putin are set to discuss the Russian troops buildup near Ukraine on Thursday during their second call in recent weeks amid little progress towards ending the smoldering crisis. The White House indicated that Biden would make clear to Putin that a diplomatic path remains open even as the Russians have been an estimated 100,000 troops towards Ukraine. And Putin has stepped up his demands for security guaranteed, precluding NATO from expanding to Ukraine. Those demands are to be discussed by senior US and Russian officials during talks on January 10th in Geneva. But Biden will reiterate to Putin that for there to be real progress in the talks, they must be conducted in a context of de escalation rather than escalation, according to the senior administration officials who briefed the reporters before the call. The official spoke on the conditions of anonymity. The call was set up on Putin's initiative. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said Thursday. The goal of the conversation is to continue discussing the issue that were on the agenda during the recent conversations via video conference, Peskov told reporters. That December 7th call focused on Russian troops movements which have unsettled Ukraine and other European allies, as well as Moscow's demand for security guarantees. Pascal noted that since that call, Moscow has submitted its security proposals to the US and European officials. And now, from our point of view, from the point of view of President Putin, the need has arisen for another telephone conversation, which would preface the upcoming talks. And on to our next story of the hour. North Korea on Thursday urged its 1.2 million troops to unite behind leader Kim Jong un and defend him with their lives as the country celebrates the 10th anniversary of Kim's accession to Supreme Commander of the military. The anniversary comes as North Korea is holding a key multi-day political conference in which officials are expected to discuss how to address difficulties brought by the pandemic and long dormant diplomacy with the United States. In a lengthy editorial, the official Rondong Sinmun newspaper said that North Korea's military commanders and soldiers must become a impregnable fortress and bulletproof walls in a devotedly defending Kim with their lives. It also calls for building a more modernized, advanced military that serves as a reliable guardian of our state and people. The editorial said all of North Korea's troops and people must uphold Kim's leadership to establish a powerful socialist country. North Korea has previously issued similar propaganda heavy statements urging people to rally behind Kim in times of difficulties. Some experts say Kim has been grappling with the toughest moments of his 10-year rule due to the coronavirus pandemic, the UN sanctions, and his own mismanagement. On Monday, Kim opened a plenary meeting of a Central Committee of Ruling Workers' Party to review past projects and determine major policies for next year. In 2 days of meeting, Kim set unspecific development strategies for the country's rural development, while participants discussed next year's budgets and other agendas, according to state media. Observers say North Korea will likely disclose Kim's stance on relations with Washington and Seoul, the deadlocked nuclear diplomacy, and the economic hardship at the end of the plenary meetings expected later this week. Despite the present difficulties, few outside analysts question Kim's grip on power. Kim's supreme commander post at the Korean People's Army was the first top job he was given after his father Kim Jong il's death in 2011. The current leader holds a slew of other high profile positions, such as General Secretary of the Workers' Party and Chairman of the State Affairs Commission. Now, on to our next story of the hour. When a young farm hand returned to his village in Myanmar, he found the still smoldering corpses in a circle of a burned out hut, some with their limbs tied. The Myanmar military has stormed downtown at 11 a.m. December 7th. He told the AP, with about 50 soldiers hunting people on foot. The farmhand and other villagers fled to the forests and fields. About 10 were captured and killed, including 5 teenagers with one only 14, he said. A photo taken by his friend shows the charred remains of victims lying face down, holding their head up, suggesting he was burned alive. I'm very upset and it is unacceptable, said the 19-year-old who, like others interviewed by the AP, asked to remain anonymous for fear of reprisal. The carnage at Don Tao is just one of the most recent signs that the Myanmar military is reverting to the strategy of massacre as a weapon of war, according to an AP investigation based on interviews with 40 witnesses, social media, satellite imagery, and data on deaths. The massacre and the scorched earth tactics, such as a razing of entire villages, represent the latest escalations in the military's violence against both civilians and growing oppositions. Since the military seized power in February, it has cracked down even more brutally, abducting young men and boys, killing healthcare workers, and torturing prisoners. The massacres and burnings also signal a return to practice that military had long used against ethnic minorities such as Muslims, uh, Rohingyas, thousands of whom were killed in 2017. The military is now accused of killing at least 35 civilians on Christmas Eve in Mosul village in an eastern region home to the Karenni minority. A witness told the AP that many of the bodies of the men, women, and children were burned beyond recognition. On to our next story. Iran launched a rocket with a satellite carrier bearing 3 devices into space, authorities announced Thursday, without saying whether any of the objects had entered Earth's orbit. It was not clear when the launch happened or what devices that carrier brought with it. Iran's air footage of the blastoff against the backdrop of negotiations in Vienna to restore Tehran's tattered nuclear deal with world powers. On 8 rounds had been underway this week and to resume after New Year's holidays. Previous launches have drawn rebukes from the United States. The U.S. State Department, Space Force, and Pentagon did not immediately respond to requests for comments on Thursday's announcement from Iran. Ahmad Hosseini, a defense ministry spokesperson, identified the rocket as a Simra or a Phoenix rocket that sent up 3 devices 470 kilometers, 290 miles. The performance of the Space Center and the performance of the satellite carrier was done properly. Hassani was quoted as saying, but hours later, Hassani and other officials remained silent on the status of the objects, suggesting that the rocket had fallen short of placing its payload into the correct orbit. Hassani offered a speed for the satellite carrier that State Associates journalists reporting on the event indicated wouldn't be enough to reach orbit. Iran's civilian space program has suffered a series of setbacks in recent years, including fatal fires and launch pad rocket explosions that drew the attention of a former President Donald Trump. Iranian state media recently offered a list of upcoming planned satellite launches for the Islamic Republic civilian space program. Iran's Paramilitary Revolution Guards run its own parallel program that successfully put a satellite into orbit last year. Hassani described the launch announced Thursday as initial, indicating more are on the way. Television aired footage of the white rocket emblazoned with the words Samara or satellite carrier, and the slogan, "Weekend shooting into the morning sky from Iran, Iman Khamenei spaceport." A state TV reporter at a nearby desert site hailed the launch as another achievement by Iranian scientists. And now, a short break from the daily English news, Millennium News 24/7. Stay tuned.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Welcome to Millennium News 24/7 daily local news update. Now, the story at this hour. Satellite image taken this week over Syrian port of Latakia showed the smoldering wreckage after a reported Israeli missile strike hours after firefighters contained a massive blaze. The raid launched from the Mediterranean Sea Tuesday was among the biggest launched by Israel into Syria, igniting a fire in a container terminal that raged for hours and causing significant material damage in the vicinity. It damaged a nearby hospital and offices and also shattered windows of residential buildings and cars parked in the area near the port. The explosion could be heard miles away. It was the second such attack on the facility this month. The Latakia seaport handles most of the imports to Syria, a country ravaged by a decade-old civil war and Western imposed sanctions. Another attack took place December 7th when Syrian media reported Israeli warplanes hit the container terminal, also igniting a major fire. Satellite photos obtained by the Associated Press from Planet Labs PBC Thursday showed heavy smog over the container terminals on Wednesday, likely from a struck container still smoking. The images suggest it was a high precision strike that appeared to hit one container. A Syrian military official say the Israeli missiles were fired from the sea west of Latakia, hitting the terminal and igniting fire. Major Mahanad Jafar, head of the Latakia Fire Department, said 12 fire trucks worked for hours to contain the blaze. He said the containers that were hit held spared auto parts and oil, but there were no casualties. Israeli military, which rarely comments on individual attacks or discusses details of such operations, declined to comment on the reported strikes. On to the next story of the hour. Two former editors from a Hong Kong online pro-democracy news outlet were charged with sedition and denied bail Thursday, a day after one of the last openly critical voices in the city said it would cease operations following a police raid on its office and 7 arrests. Hong Kong leader Carrie Lam defended the raid on Stance News amid a wider crackdown on dissent in the semi-autonomous city, telling reporters that inciting other people could not be condoned under the guise of news reporting. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken called the Hong Kong authorities to release the detainees, and Canadian Minister of Foreign Affairs Melanie Joly said her country was deeply concerned about the arrest, which includes singer Denise Ho, a Canadian citizen and activist. According to the charge sheets, National Security Police filed 1 count each of conspiracy to publish a seditious publication against Chung Pyo-kian and Patrick Lam, former editor at Stance News. Police also said they would persecute the company for sedition. The cases were brought to the West Kowloon Court on Thursday, police said in a statement. Liam was not present in court because he was in the hospital. Both were denied bail, and the other have been detained for further questioning. They include 4 former Stance News board members, including Ho and former lawmaker Margaret Ning. Ho was released from police custody on Thursday afternoon. Chan Pyo-man, a former editor of the pro-democracy Apple Daily newspaper, and Chan's wife, was also arrested. Applied Daily was forced to cease operations earlier this year after its publisher, Jimmy Lan, and top editor was arrested and assets frozen. Correction. Now on to our next story of the hour. The Catholic Church and the northern Italian cities of Fiera are making their peace with Antonio Vivaldi nearly 300 years after the city's archbishop effectively canceled the staging of one of his operas, sending the famed Broquet composer into debt for his final years in exile. Fiera Archbishop Giancarlo Pireggio is attending the opening Thursday of Vivaldi's Il Finance at the City Public Theater, a decision hailed by the theater's artistic director as a marvelous gesture that helps heal the past and highlight one of Vivaldi's lesser known works. We want to restore to Vivaldi what was taken from him here in Fiera. Marcello Corvino told the Associated Press held of the premiere of Il Farnese, which tells the story of a tragic dynasty of a king of Phrynices II. According to historians, the Cardinal Tommasio Ruffuo banned Vivaldi from Fiera. It effectively meant cancellations of the scheduled 1739 Carnival production of his Il Farnese, which had already enjoyed success in Italy and beyond. Ruffo's reason: Rinaldi, an ordained Catholic priest, had stopped celebrating Mass and was said to be in a relationship with one of his singers, Anna Giro. In reality, Vivaldi didn't celebrate Mass because he had long suffered from respiratory problems, and his relationship with Giro was like that of any composer with his lead singer, Corvino said. The cancellation proved financially disastrous for Vivaldi, Corvino said, since he had paid for production himself ahead of time and was already experiencing a period of decline as his instrumental works has fallen out of favor. And now on to our last story of the hour. No more munching, crunching Slurpees at movies in France. The country's increasingly fraught fight against an unprecedented surge of coronavirus infections is putting a stop to eating and drinking at French cinemas, just as they are show signs of recovering from the brutal economic bashing of lockdowns last year. COVID-19 measures kicking in Monday. Once France's New Year celebrations are out of the way, will mean an enforced rust for popcorn machines and ice machines left in the cold storage. The ban of at least 3 weeks on eating and drinking also applies to theaters, sports venues, and public transports. For cinemas, owners hoping to lure back movie fans who switched to home viewing during the pandemic, not being able to tempt them with candies and soft drinks is another blow. French cinemas sold 96 million tickets in the 8 months they have been reopened this year, a jump of 47% compared to 2020. But ticket sales are still down by 55% compared to 2019 before the pandemic. The National Center for Films and Moving Images said Thursday in its look at French cinema's annual sales. Benoit Ciné Distribution, which supplies 70% of France's cinemas with popcorn, sweet treats, and drinks, was deluged with both order postponements and delivery requests from movies houses expecting good sales on final weekends before food and drink bans with Spider-Man No Way Home and Matrix Resurrections featuring on billboards. It's like being told to apply the emergency brakes to a high-speed train, said Vincent Meyer, a director at Benoit. And this was in Daily Local News update of Millennium News 24/7. Log in to get the latest news. All of our social networking sites, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, is Millennium News 24. Also, our YouTube channel is News Channel M24. Viewers now on both network broadcasting, Androids, iOS devices, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, also all smart TV platforms. Please enjoy our entertainment and latest news and views. Our Millennium TV app, Millennium TV USA Android, and Millennium News Google, www.millennium.com TV24.com. Stay tuned with Millennium News 24, and thank you for watching.